let's just talk quickly about Skidoo.
Skidoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
boy.
you called a car crash.
It is a car crash.
Yeah. And you said this, I love this line. You said you could sell a movie on Preminger's name, and then after Skidoo, they took the old man's keys.
Yeah, we that's a phrase we use all the time, is that at a certain point you have to take away the old guy's keys. And definitely Preminger, who's made some great movies, that last bunch of movies are just, they're on another level.
Julie Moon and...
Tell Me That You Love Me, Judy Moon, and...
Bunny Lake is missing.
Yeah, Bunny Lake is probably the last one that's kind of okay. Yeah. Skidoo, Such Good Friends is out of its mind.
It's just like a gun thriller. What is it?
Oh, there is like Human Factor or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Human
I've never
Factor.
seen it. I've never seen that one.
Yeah.
2 nights ago, speaking of horrible movies, they actually had on The Story of Mankind.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yes. Groucho, Chico, and Harpo
Irwin Allen.
separately.
Yep.
And Chico was completely, I mean, he
doesn't even get a part. He's a supporting monk.
yes.
Right.
They don't even write in a slight joke for him.
Yeah. The Marx Brothers Facebook page is obsessed with Story of Mankind and what's Irwin Allen's fucking problem.
You're very active on that page, on that Marx Brothers
I'm
Society.
sorry. And so they give Irwin Allen a lot of grief. Like, what kind of a bonehead gets the 3 Marx Brothers to all show up in the same movie and then doesn't put them in a frame together?
Yeah.
But there's sort of like a counter argument, which is Irwin and Groucho were friends socially. And so Irwin called him up saying, can you do me a favor, show up in this shitty non-all-star extravaganza I'm putting together and I'll overpay you, for 2 days of work. And then, then Chico heard about this.
Oh, okay.
And it became one of those things. And at that point in his life, Groucho probably did not want to do another reunion. It's sort of like he had shown up at the very end of the incredible jewel robbery, and it's like, all right, we're done. We're done with the 3-part act. And so there might have been just like backstage pressure, like I'm not getting in the frame with my brothers, which is I love them dearly, but that act is finished.
You talked about that on Malton's podcast. I mean, they'd been together since what? He was 12, 11, some crazy age? 14?
He was on the road when he was 14, 15.
Yeah, and yet Chico kept pulling him back in to do...
Because as the classic Groucho line is, because Chico needed the money.
What?
Somebody just posted the one sheet to Story of Mankind, and it is really funny because it's supposed to be an all-star film, but it doesn't have any stars in it.
Yes.
That's funny.
It's like fourth bananas.
Well, Ronald Coleman's in it.
Yeah, Ronald Coleman in the 50s. He's not a star.
That happens with a lot of all-star movies. It's basically But
But usually there'll be like one Paul Newman or one Steve McQueen. Somebody to hold down the fort.
When time ran out.
Yes.
You get your Paul Newman and
exactly.
It's what I notice if
William
it's
Holden.
a movie and it's got a bunch of people. Then they'll name every single actor in it, and they'll scream their name out to make the names more important. If you have Al Pacino in a movie, you go, Al Pacino. But if you don't have that, you name a bunch of them, and you scream each one. Like, see, they're important.
We have Fritz Feld.
Yes.
Did you see his documentary?
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't it end with a Fritz Feld bit?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel sorry for the people who make those all-star comedies. I mean, the Mad Mad World knockoffs are the worst of the movies with big casts. The Irwin Allen movies, you sort of accept that you're going to have all of these Fred Astaire and Robert Wagner.
We're both big fans of Who's Mining the Mint, though.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Which doesn't really have a star in it either.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I think Who's Minding the Mint is the good version of Mad Mad World.
That could be.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Mad Mad World is like, I recommend everyone see it, but it's not that good.
I've grown to love it. It was like I initially was very. I thought I was hipper than it's a mad world, and then as I see it more recently with an audience too. That's the thing. You see, when an
I
audience,
never saw it with an audience.
Kills with an audience.
I mean, we've been spoiled in L.A. a couple times a year. The Cinerama Dome, which was built to screen Mad Mad World opening day, runs it on that big, stupidly giant screen, and it sells out every time. And I love the movie, and it's great to fight over that movie with Drew. Because Drew just despises it. And,
He does.
And I'm the first to admit that it's got so many scenes that just don't work. And it's got whole characters. I don't think Sid Caesar ever works in the movie.
No.
I'm not sure if Mickey Rooney ever works in the movie. But Johnny Winters kills every time he's on frame.
The scene with
Buddy
Stan on
Hackett
campus.
kills every time. Phil Silvers kills. So for me, the highs outweigh the lows.
Yeah, Ethel Merman's funny.
She's an acquired taste.
Yeah, I kind of like her, and Dick Shawn.
Well,
Yes,
when Dick
yes.
Shawn's
He's
amazing.
funny in it.
Well, when you were talking about the crappy all-star comedies, what was in
Stuff
your
like
mind?
the Big Bus.
The Big Bus.
And
welcome to the Big
Scavenger
Bus.
Hunt.
Yeah.
$1 million
Million Dollar Mystery.
The
Wow.
hefty bag one.
All right,
the
fine.
big $1 million
Yeah.
mystery.
Oh, that's
right.
the greatest. You've done that on the show,
Those
right?
We did. We talked about
Where they
that.
gave away garbage. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I remember about
I mean, has anyone seen The Big Bus in a long time? I mean, is there any chance it's...
I
It
don't
has to
even
be
think
awful.
it ever
It
hit
has to be
DVD.
awful.
There's also Wonton Ton.
Wonton Dog Saved Color.
That's awful.
I was a member of a gym, which I'm not anymore. Don't worry.
Thank God.
And I met an old time guy who was just very friendly to me, and he's sort of like, "What do you do?" A screenwriter. He says, "Oh, I used to be a screenwriter." He says, "I go, what do you do?" He says, "You wouldn't have heard of me. You wouldn't have heard of my work." I go, "Try me." He says, "The Big Bus," and I just lit up. I said, "You're Fred Friedman."
Wow.
And he was. It was just like
How about that?
happiest day of his life.
Not James Frawley.
He directed it.
Yeah, he just passed away. We're trying to get him here.
There's a joke from Big Bus. I've only saw the movie once, like when it came out, but there's a joke I always remember, which is the he's got a broken milk carton because
What a stupid joke.
they're in a fight, and he picks up a milk carton and he hits it on the table, and he's using it as a weapon. You know.
Yeah.
I remember in Mad World, the one part made me laugh is they're all arguing in one of those million arguments they have.
Yes.
And Ethel Merman says something to Buddy Hackett. Buddy Hackett's going, okay, you do this and you'll take this and and then he goes, and you, lady, you can drop dead.
Yes.
I sent you guys the trailer.
Yes.
That I don't think you had seen it. I sent it to Larry. With them just cutting up.
yeah.
The thing that Stan Freberg directed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Four
That's
Mad
really
in the
cool.
title, Ethel. We're all in the picture. Let's each hold up a Mad and do it right. Here we go. Be sure and see. It's a Mad.
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 Wait a minute. Where's my Mad? I'm one of the main stars of the picture.
Never mind about you. What about
Oh,
me?
be quiet, little man. Come on.
Don't
Gotta
give me that
get
little
going.
man.
Go on.
Nerves. Be sure and see. It's a Mad.
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 How come he gets one of those and I
Johnny,
don't?
am I going to have trouble with
Hey,
you?
you got trouble. You got 7 people without Spencer Tracy. You only got 4 men.
Oh, shut up.
Look, why don't we settle it this way? Why don't we just settle it in the justice of the kind thing? Like, let's go according to the people who have been on television. Oh, now you're talking. Ladies
Well,
and
if
gentlemen.
that's the way you're gonna play it, I'll take 1 for being a Broadway star, 1 for being a woman,
And 1 for being a man. No, this is naughty. You're wrong.
Wait, what are you
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I
Yeah.
never saw Myra Breckenridge, which is amazing. I thought it would have popped up on TV.
Yeah, well, it's filthy.
It is a weird one.
Yeah.
Look at Larry's breakdown on Trailers
It's
from Hell.
it's just not. It doesn't really work, which is a shame because it's like everything about it. Like if you look at the trailer, it's like I want to see that movie. I want to see where Raquel Welch sodomizes a guy who's tied up, and I mean, it sounds that's out of its mind.
It's your kind of thing.
It's my kind of thing. But John Huston and Mae West, and it just doesn't work.
Rex Reed.
Rex Reed.
Yeah.
So it's not an enjoyably awful movie.
Not really.
Have you sat through Sextet?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh God, you guys.
Yeah.
are gluttons for
Sextet
punishment.
is the end of the world, officially. She's so old, and I mean, the stories were that they built a whole like electronic earwig thing into her wig. It was like early ear technology.
Yes.
So she's got this like giant beehive wig, and then they're feeding her the lines because she can't remember anything, and she doesn't know what scene she's in. And so all these young men, it's Timothy Dalton trying to make love to Mae because she's the most beautiful woman in the world, but she's 800 years old, and she doesn't even know they're in the room.
Right.
I mean, you just go on
She's as old as
YouTube.
Marty Allen.
Just watch Level Keep Us Together
Wow.
with Timothy Dalton and Mae West, which
Actually-
it's stunning.
There's a
I
Mae West
have to
auction
now.
going on right now. Like someone sent it to me because they were selling Mae West's Myra Breckenridge scripts. Yeah.
And
The three things that are up for auction is Mae West's scripts from her Breckenridge, Marilyn Monroe's prescriptions.
Oh, you just sent that email.
And her psychiatrist couch.
And
I saw the shrink couch.
and Waylon Flowers' Madame puppet.
Gilbert, get in on this.
Which is technically priceless.
Yeah, it is technically priceless.
And was Tom Selleck in Sextet also?
Ooh. Wow.
That sounds right.
I think he was.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Someone with a mustache.
I think he was. Why do I think Alice Cooper was in it? Or Ringo?
Ringo sounds right.
Ringo's
in it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why would you sit and watch this stuff? I mean, I know you guys see everything.
I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The old gossip columnist James Bacon,
the guy that used to drink with Gleason.
Yeah, and he had a column in the Herald Examiner, and he would plug his friends, and so him and Mae went way back, and so he did a column every day during the shooting of Sextet. So I was just like salivating for like opening day, so I could be the first one there. I mean, I'm not proud.
I heard the story you just told, where she had the earphones in, that at times, because it was a primitive structure they built there, that like in the middle of the dialogue, she'd say like, "Well, we're at our cruising altitude."
Yes.
Our seatbelt sign is still on.
How about Mame, speaking of somebody who shouldn't be making movies anymore?
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's unwatchable.
Let's talk Dolemite.
Sure.
How did you
Segueing
guys...
from Mame to Dolemite.
Well, we don't do smooth segues here.
I'll plug one other thing though. That's really bizarre.
Go.
That's Mae West related. There's probably one of the most obscure, weird movies of all time that no one's ever heard of. There's a movie called Dinah East. It's not Mae West. It's Dinah East, and it's about
wow.
It's about it basically runs with the rumor that Mae West was a man. And it's basically
this was a narrative feature.
The narrative feature from like 1970 or something.
Wow,
like that. It's crazy.
You guys see everything.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. It stars one of the Warhol superstar people, like Ultraviolet or somebody. One of those people, or Viva or somebody.
Yeah. How did you guys become aware of Rudy Ray Moore? Because this is interesting on the sex and violence.
It was after college, 6 guys living in a house in Silver Lake, and our buddy Dan Waters.
Who wrote Fort Fairlane?
For
he's
Mr. Gottfried.
Active on Facebook, Dan Waters.
Yeah, Dan was managing Video House. Video House was owned by 2 Chinese brothers who didn't understand anything about America. And so Dan just had free reign to order any tapes he wanted because they didn't know English.
Yeah, right.
And so it was basically, it was an entire store of movies that Dan wanted to see. And so he ordered the best of sex and violence, which was 2 hours of trailers of exploitation films.
Right.
And
hosted by John Carradine.
Great. This
Yes.
was a Charles Band joint,
Yes, it
right?
was.
Yeah.
Oh, Band of the Hand. Wasn't that, what was his company called?
Empire.
Empire Pictures.
Yeah, but there was something else. There was another
There was a
company.
movie.
A Full Moon?
Band of the Hand.
There's a movie called
that's
Band of the
not
Hand.
it. That's
Charles
called Michael
Band.
Glazer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different guy.
they had a band and they Grandpa, it's okay. What? They sing in the band? What, they got the band over there?
But he was the guy behind this, and then you saw the Human Tornado trailer and others.
It had Dolemite, Human Tornado, and Disco Godfather back to back.
Right.
And for all you crazy listeners, you can it's on YouTube. The Human Tornado trailer is out of its fucking mind.
Wonderful.
It's
Yeah, it's
just
great.
3 minutes of complete insanity and naked people and screaming and gunshots. And we would just watch that trailer over and over and over. And because Dan managed the store, we never returned the tape.
Yeah.
Back in the rental days.
So you guys were well aware of him when you got the initial call to go meet Eddie.
No,
yeah.
We loved him. And after that tape, Scott, for my birthday, it was the days before you actually bought videotapes.
Remember they were $100 in the early days?
Yes,
God.
yes.
VHS. So it was in the video stores. If you want to rent it, it was put up by a company called Xenon Video. So I opened the white pages and I looked up Xenon, and they had a warehouse, and I drove out there with cash. And I just showed up saying, I'm here to buy a copy of Human Tornado and Dolemite for my friend for his birthday. And they looked at me like, we don't have a cash register here.
Can't make change. It's not a retail
They're
store.
still putting out those
Oh,
movies.
yeah,
and
they still do it.
pictures.
They
Yeah,
still do it.
that's how I got my hands on the DVDs.
And then we became obsessed with him, and we saw all the movies. And Rudy was actually around a little bit back then. In those days, like he played the Club Lingerie in Los Angeles, and I saw him. And the album covers were so outrageous, and they were great.
Oh, sure.
You were always, if you were in a used record store, you could find one of his records, and they were all.
So you saw him live before you got involved with Eddie, and then you met him.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Eddie. About 16 years ago, we got a phone call. Basically, Eddie Murphy wanted to meet us. And we're like, oh, cool, Eddie Murphy wants to meet. And so we went over there, and we walked in, and Eddie just started doing lines from Ed Wood. I mean, literally, he was doing Tor Johnson. It was fantastic.
Surreal.
Do my toes. But it was like, it was Eddie Murphy doing it. It was like,
So
it was really surreal.
It is.
And then he said to us, do you guys know who Rudy Ray Moore is? And it was this great moment where it was just like, holy shit, we get it. Like, you want to make an Ed Wood-style movie about Rudy Ray Moore with Eddie as Rudy, and it sounded like an amazing, amazing idea.
And then you met Rudy.
Yeah.
And then about a week later, we got in a room with Rudy, and that's funny. We saw Eddie this morning, and he was acting like Rudy didn't want the movie made.
Yeah.
But Rudy wanted the movie made.
Oh, I'm sure.
When
The
I
big
was
ego.
watching it, I couldn't help but thinking throughout the movie that he was kind of like a black Ed Wood.
I mean, here's the thing. That's certainly how the movie got initially set up, and there's certainly parallels. The difference is that I think the first hour of Dolemite is really more about the X-rated album business and about the Chitlin circuit, and the whole racial element of Dolemite makes it a completely different experience. It's about, the movie's about the fact that these guys can't get through the system because of the gatekeepers. And without being heavy-handed about it, so they have to create their a separate entertainment world. And even Rudy in black entertainment circles was not particularly accepted. Like, he couldn't just go out and make blaxploitation movies at American International or something like this. So what we found fascinating about him was that here's a guy who, like, everybody said no to all the time. And yet he kept going.
You said he didn't have any money because he was constantly reinvesting his money.
Yeah.
in
He was
himself.
always betting on
Always broke.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was this whole, separate but equal thing going on with black entertainers, as late as the 70s.
Yeah.
And the Chitlin circuit sort of exemplified it, where, Rudy and his peers couldn't break in past, the white gatekeepers and, whatever. He wasn't playing the Comedy Store.
Of course. Of course.
And, but they were playing these, black clubs through the South, which were, for black performers to play for black audiences. And so, there was this whole world of, actors and writers and singers who couldn't get in. And then Larry and I had lunch with Glenn Turman, the great actor who goes back to
Cooley
High.
Sure, remember him.
And Glenn was telling us stories about this theater called the Inner City Cultural Center, where all these, like some famous ones, like Paul Winfield, like black actors and actresses would hone their craft and perform there because they weren't getting jobs. They weren't getting cast at the Music Center, and they weren't getting cast on Rockford Files. And then one of the guys, the guy who ended up writing and directing Human Tornado, and P.D. Wheatstraw, Cliff Roquemore, directed a lot of plays there. And so we put the Inner City Cultural Center into our movie too, because we really wanted to hit this idea, of these black artists having to do it themselves because no one was going to do it for them.
Well, they're an odd couple too, Rudy and Jerry.
Yeah, Rudy.
Jerry's an artiste.
But Jerry took himself very seriously and wrote these.
Jerry Jones.
The Jerry Jones, the character that Keegan-Michael Key plays. And his plays were very culturally significant. And he's a completely odd person to be mixed up with Rudy Ray Moore because Rudy, Rudy just wants to joke. Someone made a joke this other day that Rudy's like, he's the worst studio executive of all time. He just wants more titties, more explosions, more kung fu. It's like no matter what the scene is, that's his solution to fix it.
I mean, after Rudy died, Larry did a Night of the Cinematheque, and Jerry came down. And even as late as whatever year that was, 2008, 2009.
I think he passed in 2008, right?
Yeah. I mean, Jerry still didn't get the joke.
Yeah.
Jerry
Really?
was still just talking about the films and their social value, and we're telling it like it is in the streets. And it's just like, pal, have you seen the films?
And Jerry's gone now, I assume,
Jerry's
so he
passed
can't.
away.
Yeah, he can't see this.
But Jerry actually had a little bit of a career. I mean, Jerry's in 2 Robert Altman movies. He's in MASH and he's in The Long Goodbye.
I thought I recognized him.
You'd be hard to. I mean, he's got a real part in Long Goodbye, but in MASH, if you remember the movie MASH, the opening scene is a soldier gets his Jeep stolen. And it's in the opening scene and the closing scene, and he's a soldier who gets the Jeep stolen.
So he had some work in legit Hollywood.
Exactly.
And Dermot Martin, too.
I think it was when Ron Delsner was on the show. He was talking about, well, they'd have black groups perform for free because they were told that this is the way you promote it, even though they were making money.
Yeah, we had Willie Tyler here, too. He told us some stories
Yeah.
about the Chitlin Circuit.
And they said, like a lot of times with the Chitlin Circle, they would have a performer, and if they didn't feel like paying them, they wouldn't pay them.
Yeah, so it's like the internet,
Yeah.
A little bit.
like podcasting, kind of.
Yes.
and to give
you heard
props
us.
to Red Fox,
Yeah.
when he hit it, when he hit the big money with Sanford and Son, LaWanda Page and Whitman Mayo, they were Chitlin pals. That's where they
Bunch
came
of guys.
from.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch
She's
of
in the
those guys.
documentary about Rudy.
Yeah.
She's all over that thing.
She loved Rudy. Rudy, and Wildman Steve would occasionally
And
do
Blowfly
tours
would
together.
come
And
on the show.
Blowfly.
Right,
Come on, that
right.
sounds like what a great fucking show that would be.
Absolutely.
Come on.
I could see Gilbert's point about the similarities, though, because
yeah, of course,
both
of
films are
course.
made with affection.
Yes.
Great
Oh,
affection
of
for
course.
these two
Yeah.
guys who are
Who assemble a team?
They
Who
put
assemble
a
a group of people
family
who
together.
they really,
Yeah.
they're a bunch of misfits who kind of believe in themselves and try to make art.
they're lovable losers who strive to be
Well,
so
the
much
great thing Eddie's
more.
always says about Rudy is like he was a loser who refused to lose.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's funny because Eddie's original, what brought you guys to him was Ed Wood.
Yeah.
And I think this also captures what's one of the things that's special about Ed Wood is that sense of a family that comes together.
And I think one of you, I forget which one of you said that without Rudy Ray Moore, there couldn't be an Eddie Murphy.
I think Eddie's kind of said those kind of things.
I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Did you say it, Larry?
I didn't say it.
Well, take credit.
Frank, did you say it?
Frank,
Not me.
Yes.
The
I said it. You just heard
But
me.
all those guys were influenced.
like they were totally influenced, but they were
Yeah.
also it was more like Guys like Snoop says that. Snoop
Oh, yeah, Snoop said it.
has said that.
Yeah.
More, because Eddie always talks about how he's fascinated by Rudy because Eddie's life and Rudy's life were totally different. Where Eddie had instant success.
Eddie never failed.
Eddie never failed.
Yeah.
Like at 17, Eddie literally has auditioned once in his entire life and knows to get on SNL and everything. Like there was some SAG's Q&A the other night, and everyone on the stage was asked like, "How did you get your SAG card?" Because you're in SAG, and everyone's Keegan and people. "Oh, I was in this commercial. I did this thing. I did. Blah, blah, blah."
I did a walk on,
Right.
and
Sure. It got to Eddie. He's like, I think it was 48 hours. It was just like, oh, fuck.
Hilarious.
it's insane.
But all those guys, Paul Mooney and Pryor and Chris Rock and Arsenio, I mean, they all give Rudy Ray Moore his props.